Hello, it's Adriane here with Yoga for Migraine, and I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my dear Beyond Migraine clients, Carolyn. Carolyn is a retired special ed teacher. She also runs a nonprofit where she helps a village in Kenya to feed the children there, to educate them. And she is someone who has been living with migraine for 30-something years, was high episodic with 10 migraine days a month for 15 years. And then in the last couple of years, went to a more chronic level where she was dealing with 15 plus days a month and really feeling a really lowering of her energy. Her quality of life was just not as rich as she would like it to be. She felt this fear of migraine constantly. And through Beyond Migraine, she took her migraine days from 15, 17 days a month down to 4 or 5 a month without medication, with just a rich sense of self-love, of compassion for herself, and healthy habits and a daily yoga practice. So I'm here to share her amazing transformation. And it's not just her that experienced this. This is not just a fluke. Every single person in our last Beyond Migraine cohort similarly experienced a reduction of migraine days from 50 to 75%. And they were all at a chronic or near chronic level. So I hope Carolyn's story inspires you and helps give you that belief that you also are, it's possible for you also to have this deep transformation and better health and less migraine attacks. I hope you enjoy it. So with what had you tried, before joining our group? What were the things that you have tried? And I know you've been living with like chronic migraine for 2 years, but before that, I mean, you still had pretty frequent migraine symptoms of about 10 a month, and that was for 15 years. So migraine's been a huge part of your life, and you've been dealing this for a long time. So what are all the different types of things you have tried, from pharmaceutical to more alternative medicine?
Okay, I grew up in a family where we tried natural things first, kind of resistant to pharmaceuticals. So over the years, I tried, could it be sinuses? Because my mother had what they thought were sinus headaches, but looking back, I'm sure they were migraines because they're just like mine. So I tried decongestants. I tried natural decongestants. I had sinus surgery. Sinus meds. I had testing for environmental allergies. So food, environment, everything came up negative. Nothing was a trigger. I tried a food elimination diets, different things. And then I do go to a chiropractor regularly. I grew up with that, and I think that helps my overall health. But it's not the only answer for me in terms of migraine. Yeah, I think those are the main things. And then finally went to neurologist, tried different meds, and the triptans are what worked for me. Thankfully, I'm very grateful for that. Mm-hmm. And she prescribed 100 milligram, and I only take a third of one, and it's effective for me. So I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. And had you ever tried any other like preventive medications?
No, we were almost there. This past spring, I was really contemplating it. I went to a neurologist, and he said, just wait, just try drinking more water, try some other things. And then shortly thereafter is when I thankfully encountered you.
Yeah. And what were things like for you? I mean, this kind of became, a normal level of pain for you, but this wasn't easy. I mean, I know you talked about, you felt like very low energy, that you just had to feel like you had to spend so much time recuperating just from daily life. I mean, how are you struggling living with migraine with so many days per month?
It was 24/7, because those of us who have migraines know you're kind of managing it all the time. So you're kind of in fear, you're in defense, you're in offense, trying to figure out ways to prevent it, try to figure out ways to not have it go into a full-blown attack. So a lot of energy in that way. And then obviously overtaking my triptans. Because with me, my migraines, when it comes on, it at least before Yoga for Migraine, before Beyond Migraine, it would just, there was no stopping it. I mean, it came on, it was going to escalate. And the neurologist said, as soon as you have pain, take a triptan. So when I saw him in the spring, I told him, look, I'm taking 15 to 17 a month, you know, about 30 milligrams. He didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And to me, that was concerning.
Yeah. And it is still a lot to, you know, be taking a lot of medication. And how did that feel? I know you generally didn't like kind of be relying on medication. And did you have side effects with any of it, or did you tolerate it pretty well?
I tolerated it pretty well, but you know, triptans for me, you know, I didn't feel, it suppressed my energy and my appetite, which I didn't like, and just didn't, you know, just felt not myself completely.
Yeah. And did you feel like your daily life was kind of held back because of migraine? Were there things you couldn't do that you wanted to do, or you just didn't feel 100% much of the time?
All of the above. So when I was working, I retired 4 years ago after 32 years as a special educator. So, you know, as we all know, when you're working, you do what you have to do to go, you know, and there were certainly days I missed work, but for me, strong work ethic, take a pill and go to work, or be at work, it comes on, take a pill.
Yeah. And as a former teacher, I know, I mean, sometimes it's just even harder to be gone than to just suck it up and, you know, have your migraine attack at school and just do it.
And they didn't, you know, as far as subs go, there weren't people really for my kids. So, okay, I lost track of the question. So so as far as the working world, and then after retiring, you know, just being fearful of making commitments because I didn't want to disappoint others. I didn't want to disappoint myself. And, you know, being at home, staying at home more, and then COVID was kind of a gift to me in that way, because I didn't have to, you know, cancel on things.
There was already an excuse built in, right? That wasn't migraine as much, but yeah, I think everybody with migraine can empathize with that fear of having to cancel, or you are canceling, or you don't even start trying to make plans anymore because you're worried you're going to cancel. So there's just a lot of fear just every day,
constant, and self-criticism, you know, why, you know, what did I do wrong? What should I be doing? Is this ever going to end? You know, a lot of that.
I
tend to be
many of us can feel like that migraine is our fault, or if we have an attack, it's something wrong we did, and it kind of perpetuates that negativity that we have with this disorder. So what was different? What made you choose to work with me? I know you had started doing yoga classes on a weekly basis with me online, and then what was it that prompted you to want to go deeper with Beyond Migraine?
Yeah, with the yoga, I had never done yoga before in my life, maybe a class here or there, you know, just sort of informally. And I didn't think yoga was for me. I thought maybe it was too challenging or athletic, or, but I was really thrilled when I found yours, because it was connected to migraine. And then I saw it really help me. And I think, you know, another match that was strong for me personally is kind of the mind-body connection. I'm a strong believer in that, and you are too. And that came through with everything that you did and talked about. So for me, that was a good match. And I was desperate. I was desperate for relief. I didn't want to go on a preventative. I didn't want to live my life that way. And I thought, well, I'll give yoga a try.
Yeah. And so when you first started taking yoga classes, how was that for you? Did you notice a bit of a difference just from a weekly class?
I have to say I didn't practice regularly.
Yeah. And then when you did Beyond Migraine, something changed. Tell me about
Night
that.
and day. Yes. Yes.
So what was it about, having that container of Beyond Migraine to really help create those habits for you of a daily yoga practice and committing to the work that, that is involved with really getting in touch with your inner healing?
For me, I like structure, so in the 8-week program, there's your focus of every week that there were things we could read or videos we could watch, and then specific practices that matched. And it was just great because it wasn't a lot. It's not overwhelming at all. It's just a little bit. But for me, it helped me understand the philosophy behind it.
Yeah.
And there's so many components, and I love that. It just opened my mind up to other causes and reasons and
so it all kind of connected the dots. It wasn't just, okay, show up for a yoga class. You started to understand, the benefits and the deeper philosophy of yoga, and also, the science of how it can help with pain, and kind of gave more meaning to the work.
Absolutely, because I was not aware at all about pain. I'm looking at my pain reprocessing theory.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that at all. And as soon as I started applying it, it was immediate. I got immediate relief.
Yeah. Tell me about that. What kinds of things were you doing, and what did it look like for you?
So, one of the theories behind it is not resisting. And, I've been aware of what you resist persists. That's a philosophical belief through the ages. And I started not resisting it. So one day I was meditating, and I'm not a deep meditator, but I was doing a light meditation, and the pain started. My pain's always right here. And I just said, "Oh, hello, friend." And I surprised myself because I wasn't planning to do that. And then I just said, "You're welcome here." Like, I didn't fight it. I didn't say, "Oh crap, here it goes." And it went away. And that was only, I would say, Adriane, 3 weeks in, maybe, or it was not long into Beyond Migraine that happened. And so you said 8 weeks I've gotten there. Well, I really got there, I would say, to week 3 or 4, where I only had 1 or 2 migraines a week from, 5 or.
Just by really changing your thoughts, your approach, your feelings about the migraine attack. And even hearing your story, as your guide through all this, I mean, even I was impressed because just really kind of stop a migraine attack in its tracks. And this is something you really repeated. It wasn't like a one-time thing. You've mentioned frequently that, I felt a migraine attack coming on, and I laid down, I did my yoga nidra meditation, and I didn't have to take anything. Tell us about what that was like.
That's happened countless times. And actually in the last couple of weeks, less and less, because I'm not even getting that pain anymore. Wow. So I don't even, I would say for the last 2 weeks, maybe once or twice I needed to do that. And there was an incident, I don't know now, a week or so ago, where a full-blown migraine came on, and it was in the afternoon. I was doing things, and normally right away I would take a triptan, and I thought, okay, let's just try. Which I had tried before and it hadn't worked. And I thought, just let it be there. And one of the things that's talked about in the theory is distracting yourself, so I got up and I went in the kitchen, and I was, cutting vegetables or something, like something mindless that distracted me. And it almost took me by surprise that it was gone. Like I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, it's completely gone. So that's happened once. And that's the last time I had a migraine. That was last, I think, Thursday or Friday.
So at this point, we started mid-October, and you were taking 15 plus triptans, albeit, a small dose. And now what is your medication use like?
I take when I have a severe migraine. So last week, actually, I had 2 migraines, and that was the most I had had in a week in a long time. So I took one each time. But prior, for the, I don't know, 6 weeks or so prior to that, maybe once a week taking a triptan. And occasionally I'll take an Aleve. If I wake up and I just feel kind of like overall pressure in my head, as opposed to just this, so I'll think, oh, you know what, I think I'll take an Aleve. And that might have been like if I had done exercise and maybe like I had a strain in my neck last week. So I took an Aleve.
So if you're just joining us, I think we've got all our live streaming sorted out, but I'm speaking with Carolyn Tague, who was one of our clients in Beyond Migraine. She went from averaging 15 headache migraine days a month for years down to like 4 or 5 a month, and her medication use also decreased the same amount. She's been able to stop migraine attack from continuing, just amazingly, with some of our yoga practices, but also just with her approach to how she views her pain and her migraine attacks. And just really quite quickly, things turned around for you. So what was the decision like for you, to really jump in and do this new program that, sounds for many people like too good to be true, really? I'm just going to be able to do all this, cut down my attacks by 2/3 without medication and just yoga. Like, did it sound hard to believe when you signed up? What was that like for you?
It definitely sounded, I was cynical. How's that? Because, those of us, we've been through so many things and tried so many things. So the cynicism that's there. On the other hand, there's desperation and there's hopefulness, and I thought, let's just give it a go. I had been in a coaching program, like a wellness coaching program last year, and I really benefited from it. So I thought I would like the structure. And again, like I said, your approach to mind-body connection was important to me.
Yeah. And how was that, deciding to make the investment? Because it is, it's a program that as you can see, the results are worth it, but it's not a few $100s. What was this like for you to make this significant investment and decide I'm going to go for it?
Yeah. Good question. Because we're not well-to-do, very average people. And I felt that, it was hard because there was no guarantee, and who knows. But I just felt like I can't go on like this. I don't want to, I will go on like this, but I don't want to go on like this. And if this, investment is something I can do to try to help myself, then I was willing to do it, especially I think having the one-on-one with you for, and talking about my situation and what you do, that's when I determined it was a good match. And, if I'm not cured per se, at least I'll get relief and I'll have some tools and strategies to use. And since I told my husband, I said, honey, this is the best investment I've ever made in my life, in anything, to have this kind of relief. And really the word I use is hopeful. Like I have hope now.
Yeah.
I don't feel as down, or uncertain, or and I'm generally a pretty positive person, but it's hard when you live with chronic pain like that.
Yeah, it takes the wind out of your sails, and it makes it hard to see what imagine what your future is and be able to even plan for it. So that's amazing. And the call that Carolyn mentioned is our insight call, and so that's the free call that I offer to folks who are interested in learning more about the program and to see if it is a good fit, because I don't invite everybody in the program, and I only really want to bring in people that I'm 100% confident that I can help, and for both me and the client to see if it's a good fit and to learn more about the program. And I'll definitely try to put in the comments the link to book a call yourself. It's totally free and no obligations. It's just for you to find out, more about what I do and my approach. So,
Adriane, if I can add also,
yeah,
a big positive for me is the fact that, you're a migraine sufferer. You've been through it. You've tried many, many things. And so, so often maybe we go to neurologists or doctors and they haven't experienced it. And, they may be very compassionate, but they don't really know because they haven't been through it themselves. And you have, and I think that's a real benefit, has been a real benefit to me. And I'm very grateful.
Thank you. And I equally benefit from our conversations that we have in our group coaching calls from all the people in the call. And, anytime anyone shares a struggle, it's like all of our hands go up like, yep, I've been there. I felt the same thing. And having that community support and, that feeling too, like we're all celebrating each other's wins and, to hear that you were able to reduce your attacks and you're feeling better about yourself, it all helps support each other's momentum. And what's so great is that even after our 8 weeks, we are going to still stay connected. Part of Beyond Migraine is everybody continues to get a year of weekly live yoga classes. So we'll continue that community and support for each other. So when you first started Beyond Migraine, in the first couple of weeks, you had some pretty big changes, like you mentioned. What other things maybe related to migraine attacks, but just maybe about how you treat yourself? What changed? What were some of the first changes you noticed?
I definitely think, and I'm glad you mentioned the sense of community, because that was a big part of it in talking with the other folks, happen to be women, that we could support each other, that we're not alone, because so often you think, oh, it's just me or something's wrong with me, and having the other women and you to talk it through and be heard. And so I think that then allowed me to be kinder to myself, that, okay, stop the beating yourself up. You're doing the best you can do, and just keep doing the best you can do, and let people support you. Share your struggles and I was going to say failures. It's not failures.
That's so important. I think many people with migraine, feel like they're doing this on their own, like it's all on them to figure out, and to really finally have unlimited support. I think that's a big part of changing our approach to life in general and migraine. But what were some of the things that you noticed changing for you?
Definitely the way in which I spent my energy. I would say my energy's increased, but more importantly, the type of energy I have is different. So, I was directing so much energy into managing migraine and preventing and dealing with the effects of. And now I can put it into positive things, which I love doing. So I'm into personal growth. So I can, shift that time and that energy into things that then also help. It kind of goes hand in hand with the work that I'm doing personally myself, is that, self-compassion. And I think we're hard on ourselves, and that's what I saw in the group. And that was huge, and that affects every aspect of my life. Absolutely every aspect. And
so you notice as your pain with migraine starts to lift, all these other aspects of your life also start to lift and evolve and kind of create its own momentum, just on personal growth level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it makes you, it's made me, I would say, more compassionate to other people too, because there's so many people I want to help. Like, that's why I said to you, if I can share my successes, I'd be happy to do that. And there's so many people in my life who have migraines or pain, chronic pain. And I'm listening to the the way out,
yes, right.
About pain reprocessing therapy. And, you know, there's so many things that aspects of the theory that would help many, many people.
Yeah.
So
and I'm excited that just you guys were really the first group that benefited from my training. So during this group of Beyond Migraine, I started and finished my own training in pain reprocessing therapy. And so I got to really share and experiment with all of my new tricks and thoughts and theories with Carolyn's group. And I think that really complements the yoga. So much of the theory and philosophy behind pain reprocessing therapy really lines up well with yoga. And, you know, bring it to just a deeper level of how you can address any kind of pain or emotions or anxiety, depression that goes along with the migraine, and really learning to witness the changes in your body and decrease the fear. That's really what it comes down to. What are any other unexpected shifts that happened that you experienced in Beyond Migraine that you weren't expecting?
Well, they're all unexpected. I mean, I was hoping, but you know, I didn't know. Gosh, I guess I can't overstate how many aspects of my life it's affected. You know, it's just, you know, like just simple things like our two of our grown grandsons came over last night. Well, one's 20 and one's 15. And, you know, in the past, I would have been like, oh, you know, I hope I don't get a migraine today and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then, you know, figuring out what we're going to have for dinner and all that kind of thing. And it was just like, I was calm yesterday. I don't have like anticipatory angst, I guess. And I'm not somebody who suffers from anxiety. And I know a significant amount of migraine sufferers probably have some level of anxiety. Mine would be, I would say, episodal. You know, if something comes up, I have a little, but I don't suffer from anxiety. But I would have an underlying, oh, what if? And now it's like, you know, it was lovely. They came and it was awesome. And I'm more open to trying things and more hopeful about, you know, trips that my husband and I have planned, you know, where I'm not thinking, oh, what if I can't, you know.
You're able to be more present and fully enjoy the moment without kind of that background of, you know, migraine and fear of migraine ruining it.
That's a great way to put it. That's exactly right. I do. I feel more present.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know you've worked with other health coaches and also medical professionals. What was different about working with me and working in Beyond Migraine? I know you mentioned that the community aspect was really huge. What else was, you know, made a difference in why this seemed to work so well for you when, you know, you've gone 30 years with migraine and nothing else really made a dent? What do you think?
Well, I think your key, I think your way, you know, you're thoughtful in that you really listen. This, the other coach program I was in, you know, comparing the two, I think you're a very good listener and you're responsive. And so if we, like in the group, if we had a question or a challenge or whatever it may be, you always asked us, first of all, ahead of time. And then if something came up, you would follow up, you know, and address it. Also, your experience with migraine attacks personally. And, you know, definitely the mind-body connection. And you're accessible, you know. You're accessible in any, you know, in various ways. And I think you're very inclusive. You know, I mean, we were the group, we were 3 very different people, but you were able to address our needs, you know, individually. And yeah, I want to look at my notes because I keep really good. You're very encouraging. And you
start blushing.
Good. Take it all in. And I think also you provide a variety of resources and depth of resource. So, you know, if you're somebody like me, I really want to dive in because I really want to learn things. But if you're more, you know, don't want to, that's okay too. And there's a, you know, a lighter level of content.
Sure.
And a variety of it.
And it seems like in this program, you really committed yourself too. I mean, you really took on doing your daily yoga practice, and do you feel like that level of accountability was any different? Obviously, I don't put pressure on people or, you know, give them grades if they're not doing their homework, but that there was something that, you know, helped you kind of step up and commit. What was that?
Absolutely. I need that structure. It's
Yeah.
good for me. But like you said, you're not pressuring and you're very kind. Like, you know, you said it, hey, if you're having a high pain day, don't, and you don't feel you can do that exercise, do a different one. And you have a whole slew of options that
there's always options.
Yeah. And no, I never felt, other than self-imposed, pressure to do things. Yeah. And I got kinder about that too towards the end. Yeah.
So let me check in. I think we're wrapping up, and hopefully our stream went through in some capacity. So it sounds like, you know, a lot of things have shifted for you. I mean, not having multiple migraine attacks per week is huge. I mean, that's just a huge burden. And you know, when you reflect on the impacts, the best pharmaceutical preventives, you know, maybe people get a 50% reduction, and you've gotten like 2/3 reduced your medication use. You're feeling lighter, at ease, calmer, kinder to yourself. This is pretty major transformation in just a couple months.
Absolutely. And I want to say again, it didn't even take the full 8 weeks.
Right.
I would say halfway through, I had significant relief. So I would encourage people to just schedule a call with you. You know, it doesn't hurt to do that. And that's what I thought when I made the call. I thought, well, you know, we'll just chat. And if it's for me, it's for me. And if it isn't, you know, there's no pressure. You were not pressuring me in the least bit. And so I would encourage people to do that. It's made such a difference in my life. And I hope it can and will for anyone who's willing.
Yeah, well, thanks for putting that plug in. And yeah, maybe we can just end with, you know, what you would say to someone perhaps who's thinking of booking an insight call with me, or even, you know, maybe they've done a call and they're like, oh, like, gosh, it's a lot of money. Is it gonna work? Like, is it worth it? You know, what would you tell that person that's on the fence or just nervous about taking that step?
I completely understand the financial commitment and how it can be a burden. And I know you have some options for payment. So all I can say from my personal experience, it's been life-changing and, you know, will affect the rest of my life. I have tools I can go back to. So I would really encourage you to look inside and give yourself that gift, because we need to love ourselves most. And what's most loving, right? The first thing is to take care of our physical health so that we can then help others and be there for others and experience life fully. So I really would encourage people to just have a call with you and see if it's for you.
Well, I'm going to leave it on those beautiful words from Carolyn, that taking care of your own self and giving yourself that love and gift is the first step for you to not only feel good, but to then share your gift and love with others. And it just will pay itself forward. And in so many ways, when you take that time and that investment in yourself, you're believing in yourself that there is something you can do to prevent and decrease your pain. And that's where it can feel so empowering, you know, to have that, where you're not just relying on on the next doctor to tell you this or that, that you can take a lot of it into your own hands, and that it's not a one and done. You know, you have these tools, you have this new insight that will continue to grow in your life. So Carolyn, I'm so grateful that you were one of our first clients in our recent cohort to go through this and experience all this. I mean, it just makes my purpose here, you know, complete. Like, this is all I want for my clients, and for you to experience this, it just makes all my work worth it. So thank you, Carolyn, for sharing.
I'm very, very grateful. Very grateful.
Thank you. And yeah, reach out to me if you have questions. And I got the link for the insight call here. I wish you the happiest of holidays this week if you're celebrating Christmas. And then next Saturday, you're all invited to my New Year's Day mini retreat, and Carolyn will be there too. And it'll be a nice 2 hours of some gentle yoga, some meditation, journaling, tea. It'll be great way to start the new year and focus on yourself and how you want to feel in the new year. You know, living during the pandemic, it can feel like so much is out of our control and things are so up and down. So it's so valuable to take that time to connect inward, rest, reset, and focus on the next year from a place of peace and calm.